sense, and he seems to be getting a lot of attention in major media about the economics, and he has some, I guess, a resolution going through the Congress as far as the transparency resolution to audit the Federal Reserve. Can you share your thoughts about Ron Paul as a politician, and how can we get more people like this possible into the political fray?
Well, first of all, as we just seen in the last election, 94% of the incumbents were reelected, and in the House, about 32 of them didn't even rerun. So the public is not willing to put constitutionalists in office. The public is very naive, and they just really don't understand that both parties are owned by the same group of people. And so the chances of getting others like him elected, from what I have observed over the last 50 years, is not very good. And it gets worse because the propaganda in the media is more effective, and the control of the candidates that are allowed to win their primaries is even stronger than it was before. It's been proven in politics that money buys everything, and that means election. And we saw that in New Jersey in spades with Corzine, who spent millions and millions of dollars to get elected, and it was successful because of the just avalanche of advertising, promotion, and propaganda. Ron Paul is a fine person. He's the only one in Congress that really understands the Fed and all of the other aspects of hard money, and he would have been a great presidential candidate. But again, the parties are owned by others from behind the scenes.
Okay, Bob, hold on to that thought right there. And Charles, hang on. We'll be back right after this break. Okay, folks, y'all need to call Bob, just as I said in the chat room. You're getting $1 million worth of free advice. This man can keep you from starving to death. Call him 806-447-0270.
To the Lion's Den on the Plains Radio Network. Ed will be back after these messages.
As times change, so do our bodies. We don't process medical.
And we're on the final leg of this journey tonight with Mr. Bob Chapman. And also we have Charles on the line with us. And Ralph and Christy, y'all hold on. We'll get to you in a minute. Charles, do you have any more questions for Bob?
Yeah, I will sum it up with a couple quick things here, Bob. I guess we sum it down to two things. Unfortunately, the federal government has been extremely corrupted, and yes, I guess it all boils down that it's just a reflection of the dismal state of our populace. I guess we get what we deserve. Do you have, I would assume that you would probably agree with me, I was down at my state legislature today. I'm working here locally in the States. I guess that is where we need to put our energy is into the states, getting down to our state legislators, starting to meet them, because what I am seeing that they're open, and the line between left and right, Democrat and Republican in the State House is blurring. I'm hearing Democrats talk about not wanting to have NAFTA highways and pulling out of NAFTA trades and sending resolutions to D.C. So if you spend a little time about maybe we have a little bit more of a possibility of changing things in our state level. And thank you very much, Bob, for being on. Ed, I'll take the answer off the air. Thank you.
All right. Thank you there, Charles. Go ahead, Bob.
Well, I think that the tack that he's talking about is the tack to take. And we just saw this in what I think is a revolutionary sovereign state movement to more effectively use the 10th Amendment to stop the federal government from many of the things that they're doing. All powers not here delegated to the federal government are hereby given to the states. And this sovereign movement has gained tremendous momentum in the last 3 months. Just phenomenal.
I'll tell you what, Bob, I think it all started the night that Dr. Mike Ritz come on Plains Radio and said, I've had enough. And I would like to say this. Dr. Mike had his 10 Commandments bill and the citizenship bill passed today overwhelmingly in the state of Oklahoma. They have also passed the sovereignty bill, and it looks like Oklahoma's taking the lead, folks. We're going to have Dr. Mike on tomorrow night, so y'all don't want to miss that from 6 to 8. Now let's go down here to Christy. Chris, you there?
Hi.
All right, what's your question for Bob again?
This is Chris. I have a couple. Is that okay?
Go ahead.
Right.
Ralph, he's sitting over in the corner patiently waiting.
Somebody in the chat room wants to know if the Bank of America is going to go bust.
Well, I believe, through my research, that it already is bust. And the federal government is keeping it afloat via the Federal Reserve.
All right.
And that's true of all the 5 major banks in the country and the major brokerage firms and some of the major insurance companies. I mean, the situation is far more deplorable than what you know.
I hear you. Okay, Christy, Chris, what's your second question?
Okay. May I have 2 more?
Sure, go for it. Bob don't mind waiting.
All right.
Ralph don't mind waiting.
Okay. The other one is to do with metals. Since we're going to be probably in dire situation, and if we survive and make a recovery, there will be a need probably for materials, as you were mentioning. Platinum has different uses, and I would imagine copper and things like that. We have a lot of that kind of stuff around the house, and my husband was saying, well, we should hold on to those things. Would you agree with that?
Generally speaking, yes.
Okay.
They're not investment vehicles as such.
Oh, no.
But
rebuilding.
There's nothing to say that you should add to them or get rid of them. Just keep them, and if they come in handy later, that's fine.
Okay. My other question to you, sir, is what would your solution be to correct the situation in our country under the circumstances that both parties are under control by the powers that be? What would your solution be to take our country back?
Well, I think they're pretty limited. And I think Charles from New Hampshire had a very good idea, and that good idea was to work at the local level and making the changes there. And I alluded to the sovereign movement, which is wonderful. And, the state's going to be telling the federal government, no, we're not going to do that. And if you force us to, then we'll secede, which they can do. And so that's the place to concentrate your efforts, and hopefully they'll be successful. And the only other answer to that, unfortunately, is for people during a depression to take things into their own hands. And I think there's a possibility of that as well. But we really don't want to see that happen. And we would like to find a way to work through the system.
I hear you. You got any more questions, Chris?
Well, continuing on with that, suppose we elected everybody and put them in office, including the president that we wanted. The powers that be, are they not still going to be there?
Yeah, they are, and they're not going to let you do that. They've already proven it to us. You don't stand a chance at the national level. It's out of everybody's hands. I mean, the control by the elitists behind the scenes is just the stranglehold is you can't break out of it, short of revolution. And
what if 35 or more states were to succeed? Succession.